Baruchim Abayim, and welcome to yet another episode of Tuesday's Timely Torah Talks. Tonight we have a very special dear guest, Rabbi Shay Tahan, who needs no introduction. Meirov-Chazaq has had the schut, the merit of having the Rabbi speak many, many times for our community, and the Rabbi's halacha series and videos have been Baruch Hashem very, very popular, and we're very excited to have the Rabbi in the program. Rabbi, how you doing? Baruch haba.
Thank you very much for having me, Rabbi Yaniv. I want to tell you that we always appreciate what Chazaq has been doing for the community in Queens, in Brooklyn, and abroad. It's unbelievable. The chesed, the kiruv, the bringing out the Torah to every corner in our communities, in our town and abroad. And I like to thank also Rabbi for doing an excellent job and being on top of everything all the time. And we don't need to say how we appreciate also Torah Anytime hosting so many of our events. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Rabbi Tahan. And it is our pleasure after all the Chagim to have the Rabbi as the first program. It's really exciting. And the topic for tonight is the power of a bracha, the power of blessings. But before we delve into tonight's exciting topic, Rabbi, can you please give our listeners a little bit background about yourself, Rabbi?
Okay, wonderful. I need to speak about myself. I was thinking of speaking about everybody else but myself, but I think a little bit of what we're doing. It's not me. It's actually everybody that's allowing us to have the zechut. Some of the things that we're doing is we have a night Kollel at Bnei Yosef. That's the big shul in Brooklyn that everybody that comes to Brooklyn knows. That on Avenue P and Ocean Parkway, it's the big shtiba over there with tens of thousands of people that walk in every day. Over there, we have a kollel of Talmidei Chachamim that's sitting and learning, and also the Bet Torah. Those rabbis that we have in our kollel are trained to be poskim. So personally, I make sure that every posek that comes out of there knows and is trained, and that's the beauty of that kollel, that it also serves the community, also there for Avrahim to learn, to teach, and to go and help out those that need the halacha. Speaking about the Bet Torah, it's been already many years that we've been having a Bet Torah that helps out and tries to reach out to everybody that have any question in halacha. So we do it in so many different means, whether it's WhatsApp, text, calling, obviously, email, in websites, in those so many different ways. And personally, anybody needs us, we always there, we always here. So we cater to anybody that has any question in halakha. You'll find us all the time, anytime, trying to help out. That's the second thing. Thirdly, we started doing newsletters that's being distributed in Brooklyn, in Queens, in large numbers, and it's mainly or primarily halakha. Many other things. By the way, I want to tell you that after my previous sefer, Shaf Veyativ, on the halachot that we wrote, that was very successful, now almost done, sefer that just made for halachot of Tehillim. There's thousands or maybe tens of thousands of svarim that were written on Tehillim, of the perushim on Tehillim, different explanations of Tehillim, or sgulot in Tehillim, so many sgulot for reading Tehillim, but not ever a sefer was dedicated to for the halachot of Tehillim. One might ask, what halachot are there in Tehillim? That we have already hundreds of questions that, and how do I know those questions? From the dear audience that constantly asks questions on Tehillim. So that's where it came up. So it's really not my, I didn't bring it out in any way, but rather it's all these people that ask, and so many people read Tehillim. This is the next project. It's already done. The sefer is in editing again and again, and it's going to be out there soon. So many different things, but the main thing is, like, we like to have the connection to this beautiful shiurim that Chazaq and everybody else, the Torah Anytime, that everybody else are constantly bringing out, and that goes and reaches out a huge amount of listeners, and I appreciate that.
Wow, Rabbi Shay Tahan, unbelievable. Yagdiv Torah V'yadir. Let's continue spreading Torah far and wide, and we should bring the Geulah, the final redemption. I'm so inspired how much the Rabbi is involved with. And I guess, like we discussed, let's jump into tonight's topic, which is bracha, which is blessing. And sometimes people wait online to receive a bracha, a blessing from a rabbi, for hours. Could you please, Rabbi, explain to us the power of a bracha from a tzaddik, from a righteous person?
Yes, every bracha is important. A bracha from a tzaddik, the Gemara says, so many different places that is so much more elevated because the closeness he has to Hashem. The Gemara says, "Mishesh lo chole betoch beito chas v'shalom." A person that knows somebody who's sick, somebody who has someone who's sick in his house, lo alenu velo alechem, yelech etzel chacham ve'yevakesh alav rachamim. That's what the Gemara says. The Nimukei Yosef says that specifically you should go to Rosh Yeshiva, Machzik Yeshiva. That's what he says, which really comes to teach us that the reason for the bracha being much more powerful is zchut harabim. Whenever you have zchut harabim, whenever you are involved with more people, the more people you're involved with, the more zchuyot you have, and those zchuyot can translate into the bracha that you give to people. So some of the examples are, for instance, in Midrash Ruth, we found that tzaddikim had the power. Where do we see that? Boaz. We all know about the story of Boaz. He was 80 years old when he met Ruth on his last days, and he still didn't have a child. The Midrash says Boaz haya ben 80 shana velo nifkad, didn't have a child until Ruth gave him a bracha. She prayed for him. Kevan she'itpalela alav ota tzadeket miyad nifkad, right away. Unbelievable. Ruth, that was such a tzadeket, and she was a gioret, immediately had that power to help out Boaz and get a child and bear a child, be able to have a continuation. In Moed Katan, we all know the Gemara in Moed Katan that Rabbi Shimon Daftet, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai told his son, Amar leLebre, Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Elazar, he says, Bnei Adam alalu anashim shel tzura, zil gabehon delevarchunach. Anashim shel tzura means people that have a shape. What kind of shape? Shape means the shape of Yirat Shamayim, shape of Torah, shape of all the wonderful things that our Torah brings out. And therefore, he said to him, go to them, they'll give you a bracha. One might wonder, there's many Gemarot that I can quote like this, but one might wonder, what's the power of that? Where is this come from? And we need to know and realize that the Sefer HaChinuch in Birkat Kohanim says that Avraham Avinu was approached by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and he said, Hashem said to him, Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu LaAvraham, Mishebarati HaOlam, ve'ad achshav hayiti zakuk levarech HaOlam, which means I constantly, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu to Avraham, I needed to give brachot to the world. How would the world exist? Only with the brachot of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's the way he exists. But then he tells him, Aval mikan ve'elach, from now on, HaBrachot mesurot lecha. All the brachot are given to you. You now are going to give brachot. Veheye beracha. All the brachot should be given now to you, which means you will have the power that you say bracha, and that bracha will not only come true and come forth, but rather the whole world would exist for that beracha. Because up to now, HaKadosh Baruch Hu was giving the bracha, and that bracha made the world revive and exist and continue. Now it's Avraham Avinu. So the Sefer HaChinuch says on Birkat Kohanim that also the Midrash continues and says for Kohanim as well, the brachot were given to them, that they should give the brachot, and the brachot should be fulfilled. And now, says the Minchat Chinuch, same would apply to also all the Talmidei Chachamim, all the Tzaddikim. Why is that? Because we all know the Rambam. The Rambam in the end of Shemitah V'Yovel, V'Yovalot says that Lo Bnei Levi Bilvad. It's not only Bnei Levi that got this great opportunity and blessing to sit down and serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu day and night. Ela kol mi she chashka nafsho, anybody that wants to come close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and dedicate his life for Hashem Yitbarach will have the same blessing and the same thing as the Kohanim and the Leviim, Bnei Levi too. And therefore, the bracha also for tzaddik would be because of that very reason. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's not only that a person says bracha and that's it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave over the power that he has to bless the world, to revive the world, to give the world whatever is needed, and he gave it now in the power of the Kohanim and the Tzaddikim, and therefore the Bracha of Tzaddik is that powerful.
Wow, unbelievable, Rabbi Shay, Tahan, Ashrechem, amazing, unbelievable. So one might feel that they aren't such a great person to give a blessing, to give a bracha to others, but we know that it says, don't hold lightly the bracha of some person. Can you please explain to us the concept of even a simple individual giving blessings to others, a person that's not a righteous or tzaddik or big rabbi or Talmid Chacham?
Oh wow, that's unbelievable Gemara. First of all, it's a Gemara in Megillah Tetvav Amud Aleph, and also in Brachot Daf Zayin. In Brachot Daf Zayin, we found something. It's very famous, but it's shocking every time you read it over and over again. The Gemara says over there, Amar Rabbi Yishmael ben Elisha, פעם אחת נכנסתי להקטיר קטורת לפני ונפנים. He went into לפני ונפנים, קודש הקודשים, to bring and to a ketoret for a kadosh baruch hu. And who did he see over there? וראיתי כתריקל כת ישם צפקות, ישוע השם יתברך over there, so to speak. However, you can explain that, obviously, or not on a simple level. And he was יושב על כיסא רם ונישא ואמר לי, he said to me, ישמעאל ברכני. He told Rabbi Ishmael, give me a blessing. HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself asked Rabbi Ishmael to give him a blessing, and we gave him a blessing, Nineh li berosho. So to speak, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not physical, in the spiritual way, Nineh li berosho. He waved with his head, meaning, Rashi said, like he meant to say Amen to his bracha. The Gemara teaches from that, Mikan she'lo tieh birkat hediot kala be'enecha, which means don't take bracha, the blessing of a regular person, lightly. What does that mean? It means Rabbi Ishmael was not a regular person, but compared to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he's less than a regular person. Nobody, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is above anything, and he doesn't need anything. But rather over here, what we're saying is that a person, a basar v'adam, a person in this world, was asked by HaKadosh Baruch Hu to give him a bracha. That's something that we can't fathom. And therefore, over here, Kadosh Baruch Hu accepted the bracha, and he, so to speak, said Amen. And we learn from that any person, obviously, we're talking about comparisons. Rabbi Ishmael to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is like a hediot. So every person that gives a bracha to other is not less than that. And therefore, we found that even regular people and even goyim gave brachot, and they were fulfilled. For instance, the Gemara in Megillah, Tetvav says that Shnei Gdolei Hador, בירכום שני אדיוטות ונתקיימה בהם. There were two, גדולי הדור, David HaMelech and Daniel. Daniel was a Navi. They were blessed. They were given bracha by two goyim, and those brachot were fulfilled. David got a bracha from Aravna. He says, ויאמר אravna אל המלך, אלוקים עמך. And Daniel was given bracha also by Daryavesh. But Daryavesh told him, when he was thrown into the lion pit, he told him a bracha that he should be saved, that Kadosh Baruch Hu should save him. And long and behold, Daniel was saved. The Gemara says that the bracha helped out that day. For instance, Daniel was not eaten, was not being taken over by the lions in that lion cage. It's unbelievable. So we see that every person could use out Birkat Ediot, to give bracha to others, and we do that all the time. We give brachot to our children on Friday night. We say to them a bracha, and a bracha on Friday night is a powerful bracha. When the Kiddush, right after Kiddush, some say before Kiddush, some after Kiddush, you say a bracha to the child, you tell him, Simcha Elokim, Ke'Ephraim veChemnashe. And those brachot are not regular brachot, because brachot of a parent, although he's a idiot, although he's nothing special, he's not a big rabbi, he's not a big tzaddik, he's nothing special. But bracha of a parent, the Sfarim speak out that they are so powerful that they reach out all the way in heaven, and those brachot have the power to be mashpia on the children. And we see that the Gdolei Ador say, for instance, I'll give you an example. The Chafetz Chaim said that he always remembers his mother Tehillim was soaked. It was soaked. It was not one page that wasn't soaked from her tears. She used to tear and tear over the pages. of the Tehillim. When you read Tehillim in such a way, you have a child like the Chafetz Chaim. And we should not take that lightly. The mother of the Chafetz Chaim was not a Chafetz Chaim. She had a child, the Chafetz Chaim. The Chafetz Chaim became a Chafetz Chaim, he said, because of that Tehillim that was soaked from his mother's tears.
Unbelievable. Rabbi Tahan, very, very powerful. Everyone should be blessing everyone. Give a bracha. Why not? It should all be Mikayim. It should come to fruition. So recently, the Rabbi started a series explaining about Birkat Kohanim, the priestly blessings. Rabbi, maybe you can explain to us what is so special about Birkat Kohanim, Rabbi?
Well, we said before already. First of all, it's very important, this idea of Birkat Kohanim, because I see that there's not so much out there that really Kohanim should learn from. If a person knows how to learn halacha and open up the Mishnah Berurah and learn the simanim that deal with Birkat Kohanim, so that's wonderful. He should do that. But many Kohanim don't have the knowledge or the time or the understanding on the halachot to be able to really read them and learn them correctly. And therefore, we started now something that every Kohen should hook himself to it and learn a daily halacha of the Kohanim. We're starting off with Birkat Kohanim. Halacha, each halacha on the Shulchan Aruch, from Siman Kuf Kafchet, Seif Aleph, Seif Bet, Seif Gimel, Seif Dalet, explained in English and Hebrew. We have in English and in Hebrew. And those shiurim are easy, the few minutes only. A person a Kohen definitely should listen to it and understand and know before he gives the priestly blessing to the kahal. What if he's doing it right? What should be done? And those halachot are very important. And again, I don't see that there's much out there, almost nothing. And therefore, I decided that this could be a very good thing. Now, the understanding of the Kohanim I mentioned before, that a Kadosh Baruch Hu, it's interesting, a Kadosh Baruch Hu says that you give the blessing, Kol tevarchu et bnei Israel, and the Kohen, it says to him, V'ani avarchem, which means the Kohen is giving a bracha, but what about him? How would he get a bracha? Why? He gives and he gets nothing? Kadosh Baruch Hu says, no, you give the bracha, but you, Am Yisrael, will get from like a pipe. You'll be like the pipe giving to Am Yisrael. But the bracha to you will be given directly from me, without a pipe. V'ani avarchem, I will give the bracha to the Kohen. So the Kohen has such power that in one hand, he gives the bracha to others, he's mashpia to others, which means he's overflowing his cup of blessings to others. But on the same time, a Kadosh Baruch Hu fills up his cup personally on an independent way and level. And therefore, we mentioned before that Rabbi Eliezer said that a Kadosh Baruch Hu said to Avraham Avinu, up to now, I was one to give in the brachot to the world, but now you are giving the brachot. And it continues over there, the same for the Kohanim. The Kohanim would be given the brachot, and those brachot would make everybody, whatever they need, will have the ability to get whatever they need. Mikan ve'elach habrachot mesurot lachem, they're given to you, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, הכהנים יהיו מברכים את בניי, כשם שאמרתי לאברהם אבינו. Just like I said to Avraham Avinu, so does the Kohanim should be given the brachot, and that's what it says, ve'yeh beracha. That's what it says, ko tevarchu. Ve'yeh beracha. You will be the ones getting the brachot. By the way, the chinuch in Mitzvah Shinai says that the reason the power of the brachot really works, that the Kohanim are able to give the bracha and it's fulfilled, is because they are so close to Hashem. Kol machshavtam dveka ve'avodato. All their thoughts, the Kohanim are such people that all their life, all their mind, they're dedicated for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The mind is davuk by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Nafsham kshura b'yirato kol hayom, says the chinuch. Their nefesh, their soul, their being, their mind, their desires are there for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And therefore, that is the reason it's so powerful. Says the chinuch again, I mentioned that before, that anybody that wants to do the same will have the same ability as well, same power, same strength. If you want to be such a person that gives bracha and your bracha should be fulfilled, and you get the bracha directly from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, כל מחשבתו דבוקה בעבודתו, ונפשם קשורה ביראתו כל היום. That's the power of ברכת כהנים.
Unbelievable, Rabbi. Unbelievable. Great stuff. Powerful stuff. Rabbi, maybe you could just explain one misconception that the Kohanim have, and maybe one misconception that the non-Kohanim have during Birkat Kohanim or in general.
Okay, so just one, we can definitely pinpoint on the fact that us Sfaradim are saying Birkat Kohanim daily.
Every day.
And many times we go to Kohanim and all of us go to pray in the morning with Ashkenazim. We love praying with Ashkenazim. Don't get me wrong. We love their tefillah. We love the people. Everything's fine, but you're missing out on Birkat Kohanim. If you are a Kohen, if you're Israel, you're going to Ashkenaz place. It could be that the bracha of the Kohanim, when they do Birkat Kohanim in different shul, also has an effect on you. There's such a thing that the bracha goes, Am shebasadot. There's such a concept. But the Kohen himself has a mitzvah taseh. Has a mitzvah taseh. Why would you want to miss out on the mitzvah taseh when you go to shake the lulav? It's a mitzvah taseh on the first day. For 1 second to shake the lulav, pick up the lulav, and you yotzeh with that. How much people pay for that mitzvah? They go to pay the buyer a trog for $200, $300. Over here, you have free. On lulav in a trog, you go to shop for a trog, you spend a few hours. Over here, it's free. You just go across the street and you have yourself a place that you could say Birkat Kohanim. Don't miss out. Don't miss out. That's something that a Kohen should take more seriously. A Kohen, Israel should take more seriously, is the fact that it says in the halachot of Birkat Kohanim that we're learning right now, that in order for Israel to receive the bracha from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that sends it through the pipe called Kohanim, you need to do a few things. First of all, the halacha says you need to stand panim el panim. I see many times that when the Kohanim starts giving a bracha, people move to the side. They move their face or their body to the side, to the back. Sometimes they bring their children with the talit close to them, and the children are facing the father, where the father is facing the Kohanim, but the children face the father. I always, when that happens, I move my son that he should be facing also the Kohen, because if you're not facing the Kohen, you're not part of that bracha. You don't receive the bracha. It needs to be panim el panim. That's one thing. Second thing is that you need to concentrate on the bracha. Don't be involved in other things. Many times a person is thinking about, we are so busy, we're thinking about a million things except the bracha. Sometimes a person looks on his phone. That's something that definitely should not be done. In a shul, is a avon plili to look on your phone. Be busy on any time, any point in the tefillah, looking at your phone. That's definitely davar asur completely. But during the Birkat Kohanim, you're missing out the bracha when you're doing any of that. So many halachot chachamim were kovea. They established that a person should not be south from his concentration at the time of the Birkat Kohanim. And therefore, if a Kohen, for instance, has a certain blemish, the Chachamim said, don't say bracha. They made him invalid to say the bracha. Why? Because Israel might look at him and get confused with the way he appears. And because of that, he missed out the bracha. How important it is to think about the bracha when you are there, looking at getting the bracha of the Kohanim. Don't look at the Kohanim, but concentrate on the bracha and face the Kohanim at the time.
Amazing, Rabbi. Beautiful chidushim insights. Very, very, very inspiring. And Rabbi, last but not least, final question is maybe you can leave our broad audience one final thought, one final message to give us the takeaway.
Well, I want to tell you something interesting. On Sukkot, Chol HaMoed, I took my family. There's a museum, so to speak, I'm not sure it's a museum. It's in Philadelphia, in the city, downtown. There's a museum that they made out of a prison, a real prison that operated as a prison on the 18th and 1900s, early 1900s. And that prison was one of the first, I think it's the first in America. And they build it, and you go in, and you see the cells where people were staying by, really a tiny little cell with nothing there except a little bed, a little desk, and a bathroom, and that's it. and there's no lights, there's nothing. There's a little hole in the ceiling, smaller than your head size, just for the light to come in during the day. It's freezing at the winter. It's extremely humid and hot in the summer. There's no light at night. That's what it is. And those prisoners over there, those inmates over there are not allowed to talk at all the whole time. It's quiet, and you're not allowed to say a word. If somebody speaks or they find you communicating with another inmate, that's almost impossible because there's no way to communicate. The walls were so thick and you don't have doors facing one another. You would get more time and harsher places to stay in. And that put a person in a certain perspective that you would think that would, they call these places a correction facility. They don't call it a place of punishment. They called it a correction facility. The people, the guards, the policemen that work there are called correction officers. And therefore, the idea is to correct the wrongdoing that you have done. What they found over there, I'm taking it all for what we heard over there and we learned over there, that they said that they found that after many years that everything failed, they saw that nothing really happens. People are getting there and they're not being corrected in any way, and they're not getting better in any way. They're getting out and they're coming back to crime and even making worse crime that they used to do. And that brought me to think about something that we learned on the Sukkot itself. It says in the Sukkot, in the parasha of Mishpatim, וחג האסיף בצאת השנה באוספך את מעשיך מן השדה. חג האסיף. Why the Torah calls חג הסוכות חג האסיף? On other chagim, חג המצות, it says חג המצות. Why the Torah calls חג הסוכות חג האסיף, the gathering? So we understand they were gathering the crop at that time, but that's the name you call a holiday on the crops that being collected. Why does it say בצאת השנה when the year was collected and ended? It's not the year ended, it's just starting. It's the beginning of the year. And I was thinking that you should know that after being throughout Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, a person is really broken-hearted. You break yourself on Rosh Hashanah, and from the beginning of Elul, doing teshuvah, changing the way you do things, changing every aspect that you have, thinking about all the wrongdoing, and that has an impact on a person. It breaks you down. A really person that does it correctly, it breaks you down. Chachmei Israel, when only they heard the word Elul, they would start shaking. When Elul would come, there would be not people anymore. It would have an effect on you. It's like a certain trauma that you have. And therefore, when you come to the end of that process on the day of Yom Kippur, you come straight to Sukkot. How could you rejoice? You can't rejoice. How could you rejoice? Says the Gemara, Sukkot should be such a time of Chag HaAsif. You collect yourself. Chag HaAsif goes on the person himself. It's Betzet HaShana. Why is it Betzet HaShana? Although it's a new year, but it's continuation of what happened up to now. Up to now, you broke yourself. You tear yourself apart. Now you collect yourself, you collect your feeling, you collect your hardships, you collect your nefesh, your soul, everything you put back together. And when you do that, that is the reason that the holiday is so happy. It's called Yom Simchatenu. When we think about this idea, we can't complete without what we see right now in our parasha. We're holding in Parashat Noach. What happened in Parashat Noach was a flood and a mabul. It was a rain and a flood that washed out the entire world. And only Noach and whoever was in the Teva survived. And today, I think we also have a flood in so many different aspects. And I'm talking about even on a physical way. There's so many earthquakes. Today alone, there were earthquakes in few places in the world, serious in Russia, in Iran, over here in America. I think. Oh, there's many places today. There's so many floodings. We experienced in New York a couple of weeks ago, such floodings that flooded and so many people got killed because of that. There's hurricanes. There's all kind of disaster that we see in the world now that we never experienced before. You would see such a thing, one in a blue moon. Hail that comes down in the size of balls. and breaks down cars, breaks down houses. I think we can learn from Noah. Just like in the time of Noah, the entire world washed out, but Noah himself survived because he brought himself into the Teva, and the Teva was a place that HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him to do, and he told him exactly how to be able to survive. And I think we can take the message to us on the time that everything is flooding around us. So many disasters. Iran is close to having a nuclear facility is already there, and the nuclear ready weapon, and the world is going completely crazy in so many different ways. We, us could sit in the Teva. The Teva is the Arba Amot, is the Bet Midrash of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and learn Torah and come close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is how we can survive. And after we learned on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippurim how we broke ourselves down in so many different levels, spiritually and emotionally and so many different ways, and some physically also, waking up every day, going to do teshuvah. We came to the day of Sukkot to put everything together, Chag HaAsif, collect ourselves back together. It's Yom Simchatenu, brings you back to the happiness. But now that we're there and we have everything, we passed through everything that we went through in the previous months. Now we should stick to that Tevat Noach in order to be able to survive, and comes after those 40 days and 40 nights of the harsh rain to the shore of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, where Mashiach Tzidkenu will give us the Geula Shelema Be'ezrat Hashem.
Amen. Chazak Baruch Rabbi Shay, Tahan. What a beautiful, amazing, unbelievable Torah talk that we just had. Very inspiring, unbelievable. I want to give a Birkat Hediyot to the Rabbi. The position we should continue spreading Torah Yama Veked Batzvat V'Negra all over the world, and the Halacha and the Sfarim and then the publications and the Horaa, everything that the Rabbi does, the Kollel, everything should position continue spreading. We should see the Geula Shlema, the complete redemption should come.
This is a bracha from big tzaddik.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you for all that you do. And we want to remind everyone every single Tuesday night, we have amazing special guests, timely Torah talks. And Beis we're going to hope to see you every single week. And Beis we should see only B'sarat Tovat, only good news.